Social media. So, my social media team asked me to make a video about building habits. All I want to say is, if you're trying to build habits, you're wasting your time. You're probably thinking, what the hell is this guy saying? Are you telling me that all these people, all these coaches and gurus, and everybody who's been talking about building habits, these best-selling books, Atomic Habit, James Clear, etc., they're wrong, that they've been wasting people's time? I'm saying yes. I'm saying yes. I'm saying yes, they are. Because, see, look, here's the thing. You're asking me, how do I build a habit? Sorry. So you're asking me, why am I unable to build a habit? Are you sure? Are you sure you're unable to build a habit? Or is it that that is your habit? I'll give you an example. Somebody comes to me and says, I want to become fit, I want to lose weight, I want to have six-pack abs. I say, cool. What's your plan? So he says, I'm going to create a habit of working out every day. I want to build a habit. I want to build a habit of eating clean every day. So I ask him, what do you do now? So I sit at work all day. I'm at a desk job. I'm working all day. I come home. I watch TV with my family, and I go to sleep. What do you eat? Oh, I eat whatever's available. Maybe I go eat junk food, maybe once a day or once every 2 days, whenever people decide to go out. Sometimes the family wants to go out. Sometimes the colleagues want to go out. I say, fine. So what you're saying to me is not that you want to build a habit of working out. What you're saying to me is that you have a habit of sitting down, right? You have a habit of not moving. You have a habit of eating crap. And what you're actually saying to me is that you want to find a way of how I can switch out one habit, which is creating problems in my life, and put in another habit. And I'm just thinking to myself, why? Why are you trying to look for a shortcut? Habits are a shortcut. Habit is telling me that I don't need to think. It's just a habit. I do it. I get up in the morning, I brush my teeth. That's a habit. It's a good habit because I don't need to think about it. I get up, I do it automatically. But getting up in the morning and, grabbing a cup of coffee may not be a good habit for me. Maybe for some people it is, but for some people it may not be. Getting up in the morning, going for a walk, good habit. But what if you have a lot of work one day and you have to meet a deadline and you don't have time for a walk? What do? Working out every day, great habit. But what if one day you actually need to pay attention to your family because your mother is not doing too well emotionally, and she needs you to be there because your father has not been doing too well in terms of his health, and she just wants someone to be there for her? What I'm trying to say is that you have a life, right? You have one life. And if you really want to maximize your life, then you need to get rid of habits. What I believe is a life full of habits is like a life not lived. What I believe is that instead of having habits that run every day, for me, every day is completely different for me. I don't have a routine. I don't have habits, except for, I gotta eat and I gotta brush my teeth, I gotta sleep. But apart from that, by and large, what I do in the waking hours of my day is not habitual. I look at my day and I decide, what would I like to do today? What could I do today that would give me the greatest ROI in the future? That's what I'm thinking about. And today, that might be shooting a YouTube video. Tomorrow, it might be going to the martial arts gym, getting some sparring done. Tomorrow, it might be going to the martial arts gym and doing some sparring because that'll keep me happy. I don't know. But the point is, I'll take a look at that tonight or tomorrow morning and I'll decide. So when someone says, I want to build a habit, we are run by our emotional habits all the time. When you get triggered, that's a habit. The same things keep triggering you, don't they? If somebody criticizing you is a trigger, it happens all the time, doesn't it? If somebody saying anything that might mean abandonment for you is a trigger, then every time somebody does something that might make you feel abandoned or that you give the meaning is abandonment is going to trigger you. If somebody saying that you're not good enough is a trigger, every time somebody does anything that means that is going to trigger you. So you are living in habits all the time. But when somebody, for example, I'll give you an example of something that happens all the time. I see two people. I see two friends. One friend has come to another friend because something has happened in their life. Let's say that their job is not going too well. And the second friend will listen to the first friend, and after listening, is going to give the first friend some advice. Say, I think you should do this with your boss. I think you could do this. I think you could do this. And the second friend looks at the first friend, gets angry, gets furious, and says, you don't understand what I mean. You don't listen to me. You're not a good friend. And the first friend is like, what the hell? I was trying to help. And so the second friend, the one who reacted, has got a habit that when someone gives them advice, it means that they're not, in their heads, they're thinking, I'm not good enough. That their emotions, emotionally, they feel that they're not being heard, that they're not being seen. And that's a habit. So it's very difficult now, right? How do you prescribe a habit that actually changes that result? The only way that you could change that outcome is if the first friend realized, okay, this guy is giving me advice, he's well-meaning, his intention is good, I can see that, but that's not what I need right now, and I should just tell him, listen, I don't need you to give me advice, I just want you to hear me out. Or the other friend looking at him and saying, this person doesn't need my advice, this person is smart enough to know everything. Why do I need to give this person advice? I'm just going to sit here and listen. I think all he or she wants from me is to listen. I'm just going to listen. I'm not going to do anything else. So you're in a constant habit anyway. And to take one habit and put in another habit instead is a waste of time. The only habit that you want to maybe develop is the habit of being in the here and now. And what do I mean by that? It's engage with the world as it is right now. Like, what's happening in front of you right now? What's happening around you right now? Are you noticing? Are you paying attention? Are you engaging your mind and thinking, what is the best course of action right now? I know it's tough. It's a lot more difficult than deciding that, okay, I'm going to get up in the morning and I'm going to go for a run every single day. Cool. That could be a habit. That could be something that you do maybe 80% of the time. But 20% of the time, you may need to do something else. And if you're not aware, and if you're too caught up and married to your habits, then you're going to miss out. You're going to fail to look at the obvious. You're going to fail to look at your partner who is looking at you and saying, Jesus Christ, you're going to go for a run again. I really, could you not just stay in with me one day? I need you to be here. No. It's a habit. I have to go for my run. Just make sure that you don't use this as an excuse to not go for your run too, right? Because some people will do that. So you run by habits anyway. Building habits is a waste of time. It's like, you're exchanging one prison for another prison. Instead, I know this prison could be a much more well-decorated prison with better furniture, better lighting and stuff like that, but it's still a prison. Instead, if you want to be free, then get rid of habits in the first place. By and large, live your life as it is happening right now. And I know that's tough to do because our habits, our patterns make up like 99% of our experience. And you have to be aware about what your subconscious habits even are, your subconscious patterns even are. So, the first step to actually break free and to create real transformation, real change at an identity level, because that is really the change that you're looking for. That change comes from going deep inside, realizing what's actually running your operating system, what beliefs do you even hold in the first place that's preventing your identity from shifting, and then working at that level to create an identity shift. Because if you want to be fit, but deep down you believe that you can never enjoy healthy food, I'm sorry, but you're not gonna get that six pack abs. You're not. It's not happening because you don't believe you are that person. Because an athlete doesn't eat because they, I mean, let me repeat that. Because an athlete doesn't just eat because it tastes good. He eats because he knows that it's going to make him feel good. It's going to help him perform, and that's what makes the food tasty. I know it's a strange thing, right? But this is how athletes feel. And the cool thing is that once you're an athlete, you can even eat the most junk kind of food. Okay, cut that out. Cut that whole example out of the athlete. I'll come up with something else. So you're not going to get the six pack abs. So think about it. Somebody who you know in your life that is fit, do they even question how healthy food tastes? I mean, if you go and ask them, they'll probably tell you that it tastes really good, that they enjoy eating it. So if you believe that eating healthy is not going to be enjoyable, that there's absolutely no way that you could find it enjoyable, it's not going to happen. If you believe that deep down you are not meant to be wealthy, nobody in your family has ever been wealthy, nobody's ever made money, that business is a struggle, business is too risky, then you're not going to find wealth through entrepreneurship. You just won't. If you believe that investing is gambling, then you're not going to get wealthy in a way where your money makes money for you. My point is that if you want to change any habit in your life, it must be a identity level transformation. If you don't believe that what you want is possible in the first place, no matter how many habits you try to stack on top of each other to try and make that a reality, it will not be a reality. In fact, you're just wasting time, burning willpower, burning out energy, and this is how you burn out, because you're battling yourself. So the first step is to actually identify your habits, not just the habits that you see on the outside, but what's happening on the inside. In order to do that, there's a link in the description below. Go and click on that link, and it will take you to an assessment that will tell you everything about your internal habits. And once you have that, and you can actually see what your internal habits are, once you switch those, that is when you will be able to create external habits. And I won't even call them habits, but I would call them an external identity shift, from being somebody who believes that you can't be fit to somebody who has no choice but to be fit, because that's who you are. Somebody who believes that they can't be wealthy or can't have a business, to be somebody who has no choice but to be a wealthy entrepreneur, because that's who you are. And going about life in a way where you don't have a routine, you don't have habits, even though on the outside it may look like you do, but you approach every moment fully as it is right now. in the moment. Like that. That is a life worth living.